Think about a world where people who follow the rules, work hard, and play fair, get success, recognition, and power. Sounds fair, right? But now, take a look around you. Who's really in charge? The most moral or the most cruel? People who follow the rules or people who break the rules to get what they want? The harsh truth is that society sells a lie. You have been taught since you were a child that good always wins, that hard work leads to success, and that justice is the basis of the world. But Nietzsche had a different, darker, and more uncomfortable view of reality. He thought that morality was just a way for the strong to control the weak and keep them in line while the real masters took what they wanted. And that's why manipulators are doing so well. The most dishonest leaders are the most powerful in politics. Companies that take advantage of people the most have a monopoly on markets. The most selfish people move up the ladder, while the naive stay at the bottom. It's never been about merit. It's always been about power, and those who know this before others have power. Nietzsche called this the will to power, the raw force that divides those who give orders from those who follow them. But most people never realize this. They would rather believe the comforting lie that justice always wins. Do you also think that? Or do you want to see the truth as it is? You will never see the world the same way again after watching this video. You have been taught since you were a baby that justice rules the world, and that if you work hard, are a good person, and do the right thing, you will be successful. But take a moment to think, does this really show the truth? Who's in charge? The most hard-working or the most strategic? The most fair or the ones who aren't afraid to lie? People in society believe in a comfortable lie, the idea of meritocracy. The idea is simple. People who do everything right, follow the rules, and work hard will eventually be rewarded. But Nietzsche thought this belief was a lie meant to keep the weak obedient and the strong in charge. History has never been written by the most fair people, but by the most ruthless. Think about the biggest empires in history. Rome didn't become one of the greatest empires of the ancient world by being fair. It took over land by destroying civilizations, enslaving people, and killing anyone who stood in its way. The United States did not become a superpower by being moral. It became one through wars, exploitation, and economic control. And in business, the biggest companies didn't get to the top by being nice. Apple, Google, Amazon, all of these companies got bigger by getting rid of their competition, changing the way markets work, and putting growth ahead of any moral concerns. But the scariest thing is that this system was made to work this way, not by accident. The French philosopher Foucault said that power is never shared fairly. People who already have it gather, keep, and protect it. The idea of a fair world is a useful story. The best way to make sure that people don't rebel against the real owners of the game is to keep them believing that success comes from being good and working hard. Nietzsche went even further than that. He recognized that conventional morality, which imparts values such as humility, sacrifice, and resignations, not a universal ethical framework. Rather, it is a construct devised by the weak to subdue the strong. He referred to this as slave morality, a moral framework that venerates submission and vilifies authority. People who believe in this morality think that wanting to be great is wrong, that wanting to be great is arrogant, and that going against the system is wrong. But this way of thinking only keeps the real lords of the world in charge. People who don't believe in this morality and follow what Nietzsche called master morality are seen as cruel, arrogant, and dangerous. But they are the ones who shape history. They are the ones who don't ask for permission, who make their own rules instead of following the rules set by others. They don't wait for justice. They take what they want. That's why you see so many good people stuck in unhappy lives, while the most ruthless rule the world. Because some people follow the rules and others don't. Some people wait for recognition, while others make themselves known. Some people complain about unfairness, but others use it to their advantage. The question that remains is, will you keep believing what you were taught, or are you ready to face the truth? The will to power is the most important idea in Nietzsche's philosophy. He believes that everything in life, from biology to politics, from personal desires to big social structures, is driven by one basic force, the desire to control, grow, and impose one's will on the world. The modern delusion is the belief that individuals pursue happiness, tranquility, or harmony. Nietzsche thought this was a useful lie. People aren't really motivated by comfort. They're motivated by progress. Every living thing has to fight to grow, win, and prove itself to others. The lion that kills to take over a territory the CEO who crushes his competitors to grow his business, and the politician who lies to stay in power. All of these are examples of the same brute force, the will to power. But this is the key difference between winners and losers. Most people don't act on this urge. You have been taught since you were a child to control your desires, be humble, and respect the limits that others set. You have been taught that wanting more is bad, that trying to get power is risky, and that being ambitious is the same as being greedy. People who know the truth not only accept this urge, but they also encourage it. Nietzsche thought that the great leaders, artists, and conquerors of history were those who were not afraid of their own will to power. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't follow the rules that slave morality set for them. When abstract ideas like justice or goodness got in the way of them reaching their full potential, they didn't hold on to them. And this brings us to an important point. Power is not something that is given. It's not a prize for the hardest workers or a reward for people who follow the rules. You have to take power. If you look at history, you'll see that the real winners were the ones who made their presence known, not the ones who waited for it. Alexander the Great didn't ask anyone if he could take over empires. Napoleon didn't wait for someone to give him a throne. He took it. When Steve Jobs decided to change the tech industry, he didn't ask for permission. He didn't care what others said and did what he wanted. The difference between those who command and those who obey is easy to see. One knows that the world belongs to those who impose their will, while the other thinks that there is a fair system that will reward him in the end. This is true for everything. Have you ever noticed that the most dedicated worker at work doesn't get promoted very often? At the same time, the person who sells himself better, takes credit, and follows the rules of power moves up the ladder. Companies that are aggressive, strategic, and even manipulative in business rule the markets, while companies that insist on playing fair are crushed by competition. Nietzsche did not see this as a problem with the system. He saw it as its essence. It was not meant for the world to be fair. It's as a battlefield where only people who accept their will to power can change reality to their advantage. And here is the truth that few people are brave enough to face. If you don't force your own will on the world, someone else will. If you don't set your own values, someone else will do it for you. If you don't play to win, someone else will use you as a pawn in their game. The system's morality is what keeps most people stuck in a life of mediocrity. You have been taught since you were a child to be humble, to avoid fights, to put others before yourself, and to follow the rules. You were told that being good is the way to get what you want, and that doing the right thing and being nice will pay off in the end. But Nietzsche took the mask off of this lie. He understood that conventional morality is not an absolute truth. It is a way to keep the weak under control and the strong in check. Who made the rules that say wanting more is bad? Who made the decision that wanting more is selfish? Who put the idea in your head that wanting power is bad? The answer is simple: people who are already at the top. Nietzsche called the morality that most people follow slave morality. It praises giving in, following orders, and giving up your own interests. It teaches that being peaceful is a good thing, that accepting life's problems without question is a sign of strength, and that wanting power is a sign of growth. But who really benefits from this moral code? Not those who follow these rules, that's for sure. The truth is harsh. The weak made this morality to protect themselves from the strong. People who don't have power are afraid of people who do, so they make up stories that make anyone who tries to get more power look bad. For hundreds of years, religious leaders taught that being humble is a good thing, that making sacrifices is good, and that being silent about your pain will make you worthy. In the meantime, they live in luxury and have power over millions of people. Governments talk a lot about fairness and justice, but they are the first to change the rules to stay in power. Nietzsche compared this way of thinking to master morality, which is the morality of the strong, the people who shape the world, and the people who aren't afraid to follow their desires. People who believe in this morality don't try to stop ambition. They use it as fuel. Wanting to grow and be the best is not a bad thing. It's what life is all about. They don't live to make other people happy. They live to gain more power. Look back in history and see who the great people were who made a difference in the world. Were they the ones who accepted the rules that society set for them, or were they the ones who had the guts to question everything? The Roman Senate put limits on Julius Caesar, but he didn't accept them. Instead, he destroyed them and became a dictator. Napoleon didn't want to be just an army officer. He took power and changed the way Europe worked. Steve Jobs didn't think that technology should follow a standard. Instead, He forced his own vision on the industry and changed it completely. The issue is that you don't even know how much slave morality limits your life when you were born into it. You feel bad for wanting more. You think it's wrong to want power. You don't want to stand out because you think people will think you're arrogant. You've always been told that being good means lowering yourself, submitting, and being happy with little. Nietzsche, on the other hand, thought of this as a disease. He thought that people should try to reach their full potential, that they should break free from the chains of this strict morality and accept who they really are. Most people can't get power because they can't control their emotions, which is a fatal flaw. Most people act on impulse, react without thinking when provoked, and hold on to romantic ideas about how the world should be. Nietzsche, on the other hand, thought this was weak. He believes that the people who are good at power are the ones who can control themselves before they try to control the world. Look at history. The most powerful men weren't the smartest or the most fair. They were the ones who planned ahead. People who really win don't try to convince others that they're right. Instead, they watch, think, and only act when the time is right. Most people think that being strong means being impulsive. They think that being strong means fighting every battle, responding to every attack, and reacting to every provocation. But that's what the weak do. Strategists who know what they're doing pick their fights carefully. They know that every action needs to have a reason, and that fighting over things that don't matter is a way to hurt themselves. Nietzsche knew that people who know how to mess with other people's minds have power. Most people are easy to read. When they're angry, they get angry. When they're scared, they get scared. And when they're under pressure, they give up. People who are good at the game of power do the opposite. They use calmness as a shield, patience as a weapon, and silence as a way to control. Do you want an example? Julius Caesar knew that he needed the support of the people to rise to power, so he used every military victory to make people think he was an unbeatable leader. He didn't waste time arguing or trying to explain why he did what he did. He let the results speak for themselves. He didn't react right away when his enemies attacked him politically. He waited, bought time, made friends, and when the time was right, he killed all of his enemies at once. The same logic applies in today's world. The best CEOs don't work the hardest. They know when to act and when to wait. People who talk less and watch more are the most powerful, not those who yell the loudest. And that's what most people do wrong. They waste energy trying to prove something to other people. Real power doesn't come from making people think you're strong. It comes from making them feel your strength without you having to say anything. Nietzsche thought this was a matter of personal control. People who can control their own feelings can also control how other people react. People who don't let insults, provocations, or attacks get to them have the upper hand because they make their enemies weaker by making them angry. And here's the big lesson. In the game of power, the one who stays calm when everyone else is losing hope wins. Most people act on impulse, but the best players wait, watch, and strike at the right time. If power were just about strategy and domination, being ruthless would be enough to guarantee success for all time. But history shows that the people who get to the top often fall in the most brutal way. What helped them win often ends up being what kills them. Nietzsche thought this was an unavoidable cycle for people who don't know how to balance strength and wisdom. Take Julius Caesar for example. He took over Rome by being smart, having a vision, and being able to control both friends and foes. But the Senate, which he had politically controlled, turned against him. Brutus, who Caesar thought of as a son, and others who had once supported him, stabbed him to death. He had too many enemies because he was ruthless and wanted to be in charge of everything. In the end, he lost everything. Napoleon took the same path. He took Europe quickly and with military intelligence that had never been seen before. But his desire for power made him blind. He didn't know when to stop. He didn't listen to any of the warnings about the dangers of winter and Russian resistance when he invaded Russia. His never-ending desire for more land brought about his downfall. He was sent away, humiliated, and died far from the glory he wanted so badly. And if you think this is something that happened a long time ago, just look at the business world. Business leaders who built empires often end up ruining their own businesses. Jeff Skilling of Enron changed the rules of the game and seemed untouchable, until the scandal came to light and he was sent to jail. Elizabeth Holmes said that Theranos would change medicine forever, but her need for power made her lie and fake results until everything fell apart. The lesson is clear. Being ruthless without control can bring down even the strongest. Nietzsche knew that having too much power can make you blind. People stop seeing the risks when they think they are above the rules, that they will never be toppled, and that their strength is unquestionable. They start making mistakes they wouldn't have made before. They don't give their opponents enough credit. They make enemies without even knowing it, and by the time they do realize, it's already too late. But is there a way to stop this from happening? Yes, and Nietzsche said the answer was balance. A real master of power is not just strong, he is also smart. He knows that winning isn't everything. The other half is knowing when to stop growing without limits, when to get rid of enemies, and when to make them friends. People who think they are invincible are the ones who fall. People who rise and keep rising until their arrogance makes them fall are the ones who rise. One thing should be clear by now. The world is not a fairy tale where the good guys always win. Power does not reward goodness. It rewards cleverness, bravery, and the ability to follow the rules of the game. Or, more accurately, to rewrite them when they need to be. But does that mean you have to give up all morals? That you have to be a cruel dictator to make your mark? That is the trap that many people fall into. People who only use power as a weapon are the ones who lose it. Nietzsche never preached blind tyranny. He thought of power as a way to change things, a way to make your own way without giving in to greed or destruction. The real winner isn't the one who just gets power. It's the one who knows how to keep it. This means finding a balance between strategy and emotional intelligence. You need to know when to be ruthless and when to be kind, when to attack and when to back off, when to shut up your enemies and when to make them useful. The issue for many individuals is their tendency to exist in extremes. Some people spend their whole lives being taken advantage of because they think that being good will pay off. Some people, when they wake up to the truth about power, go down a path of destruction and paranoia until they hurt themselves. There is a third way though, the way of people who know how to play the game but do want to let it take over their lives. The big truth is this: you can keep believing in justice and be a pawn on someone else's board, or you can accept the truth, learn the real rules of power, and choose how to play it. If this video has changed the way you see things, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment saying, "Power is not asked for, it is taken." I'll see you in the next video.